All right, you purchased your roaster, now you need some coffee to roast. What do you do? So if you're roasting in small volume like I am, you're gonna probably use something called an online marketplace. These online marketplaces bring in coffee from all over the world and sell it at lower volumes to people like you and I. A few that I've used and I've had good results for all of them are Sweet Maria's, Berman Coffee Traders, Coffee Bean Corral. One that I have not yet used is Genuine Origin. How did I find these? Communications on Reddit, that sort of thing, books, Scott Rao's book, a lot of different places that I've been reading recommend all of these sites. Cool thing about Genuine Origin is you're going to get great prices per pound, $4.62 a pound, $4.02 a pound. That's unbelievable. But you have to buy a 65-pound box. That's all they sell. So I'm not at that volume yet, but I hope to be soon when I get my next roaster. So I recently ordered 3 coffees from Sweet Maria. So let's hang out on this page for a little bit. When I began this process, I knew I was going to eventually be selling, and I had ethical concerns, right? Is the coffee organic? Is it fair trade? You know, are we doing right by the environment and the people growing these coffees? The people that grow and sell coffees around the globe are often very exploited by companies and their local governments, so we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can to purchase beans from those growers that are doing the best they can for the environment and other businesses that are doing the best they can to help the growers make money. Every one of these websites is going to have a lot of information about that and about each individual coffee and where it's from, etc., etc. Next question is, how do I know what coffee to order? So a couple questions you got to answer here. 1, what do you like? Are you buying it for you? 2, are you buying it to roast and sell to other people, and what do your customers want? When I first started, I knew I didn't like Colombian coffee at all, really, not my favorite. And I knew that I really did enjoy Ethiopian. I've ordered both of those and roasted them, and that still holds true. So, click on green coffee, and it's gonna have a massive list of all kinds of different types of coffee. One I recently purchased was the Ethiopia Dry Processed Guji. I have a ton of information on every page about the coffee you're purchasing. Overview, flavor profiles, those look great. Cupping notes, going to tell you all about the flavors, and this is where it's going to tell you it's best for roasting of these ranges. Farm notes, actually has a map located, satellite location of where the farm is located. It's going to have the elevation, all kinds of stuff about the coffee. Spec notes is a quick cheat sheet, dry process, regions, varietals, all things of that nature. Okay, the green coffee you ordered and waited several days to arrive has arrived. So I've got some Ethiopia Dry Processed Guji, some Sulawesi Honey Process, and some Rwandan Nyamashiki Mutovu. So again, like I said, I ordered these for light roast, medium roast, and dark roast. So today we're gonna grab some of the Guji, and I'm actually gonna do a medium roast because I want to. Before we can actually roast the beans, we need to jot down some important information in our roasting log book. Using a roasting log is very important. What I've learned over the almost 80 batches I've roasted so far is that it helps you notice patterns, and through the use of those patterns you'll be able to improve your roasting. All of the green beans I have ordered so far come with a little nifty QR code on the bag. You scan the QR code and it gives you all of your bean information. The next thing we're going to need to record is today's date, the roaster we're using. Some people put their name here. I've got multiple roasters, so I like to record which one we're going to use the Be More today. I created a little separate notation, C5, for cleaning. You're supposed to clean the Be More every 5 roasts, and this is how I keep track of that. Now we need to weigh out our beans. It is usually recommended that you roast at no more than 80% capacity for your roaster. So the Be More will do 1 pound, and since I like to sell a 12-ounce bag, but we're going to have shrinkage, I'm going to weigh out 14 ounces, which is about 80% of our roast capacity. The good scale is recommended. This one's, I would call it a medium range scale. Something I found out about scales, you actually want them a little bit slower, because that means they're taking their time sorting out chatter to give you a more precise weight. Next step, we're going to plug in our roaster and we're going to preheat. I have found with the Be More, the optimum preheat temperature is 156 degrees according to the temperature gauge in the wall of the B-more. So we're going to hit a 1/4 pound. Start, it's going to be around 2 minutes, so I'll wait till I hit 156 before I record that roast time. Pressing the B button will give you the temperature, and so I'll wait till it warms up. All right, I recorded my preheat time. It was 1 minute 56 seconds. I'm going to hit 1 pound start, but we're going to hit the P5 button, which puts it into a manual mode. It'll push the heat a little faster and give us a little more control as we move through the roast. Okay, another useful thing about recording information and roasting a log is you can look at your previous roast and check out your milestones and expect similar things to happen at similar times. So previously when I roasted the Guji at 4 minutes, around 271 degrees, we hit turning point. We're at 255 degrees, we're just shy of 4 minutes. Due to it being the first roast of the day and a little cool outside, it may take us a little longer to get there. The only way I can determine turning point when I'm roasting on the B-more is by smell. So you're going to start smelling that intense grassy smell. Will be the first major aroma that emanates from the machine. Almost there. 264. It's always going to be around that 270 temperature mark. I'm going to call it at 430. Again, I can't be too precise without computer programs, so I make guesstimates. 267 at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, the next milestone we're looking for is yellowing. The beans start out a very pale green. And usually about the 7-minute mark, we're going to approach yellowing. About 7:30, and you can just see the beans are moving into yellow right now. So we're going to mark our temperature, 314, 7.5 minutes. Something I forgot to mention earlier before we approach brown is that you need a good white light. The B-more comes with an internal light, but it turns everything orange, and that's not very useful when trying to determine color. So we have turning point, yellowing, and now we're approaching browning. And as you can see, it just moves into a nice, sweet little tan cinnamon color. We're going to call that at 9 minutes. All right, we're moving through the Maillard phase, which is the browning process. As we move through that phase, you can really start to smell that coffee roasting aroma come off the beans. We're approaching 12 minutes into the roast, 302 degrees. First crack will almost always happen at 307. Okay. I don't know if you can hear it, but we've started into first crack. Oh, there it goes. We're at 305, 13 minutes, we'll call it. First crack. I'm gonna let it ride at first crack for about a minute, and then I'm gonna stop it to get a nice medium roast. Okay, we just hit 14 minutes. I put it into cool mode. I normally let it ride for a minute in the B-more at cool mode, then I'll pop the door open, and then let it ride till it gets to about 4 minutes left on cooling, and then it's pretty much cool enough to take out and start messing with it there. I let it run through first crack for a full minute before I hit cool mode. There's still going to be some cracking. Usually takes about 1.5 minutes to get through first crack, but that's okay. The way a lot of these home roasters work, they'll carry a lot of heat beyond the moment you stop the roast, unlike the more professional style roasters where you dump the beans and heating or cooling occurs very quickly. So you kind of got to think ahead and stop the roast a little earlier than you might to achieve the roast level that you want. While the beans are cooling in the roaster, I'm gonna go ahead and label my bag. I do most of it old school, so I put a bunch of information, I handwrite it on there, and I have a stamp for my logo, which we'll do inside once we get to that point. Okay, I purchased a custom stamp with our logo, old school style. Bought some high quality ink. I'm really particular, and every time I do this it stresses me out because I want the label to be perfect. You can see on the front of the bag, batch number, roast level. I don't know the roast level yet because there's a process to figuring that out, and we're still waiting on the beans to get done. On the back, contact information and socials. Make sure you don't hit the valve, that'll mess it up. I like to offset it just a little bit because it looks fun and funky that way. Wait about 10-15 seconds, let the ink soak into the bag. And if I did this right, it's gonna look beautiful. Huzzah! Okay, plenty of time in there. Stop the machine. Pull out the chaff collector. We're gonna clean last, but that's very important. Pull out our drum. As you can see, lots of chaff. I like to grab my old air compressor, come over here, and it helps provide the last bit of cooling and knocks all the chaff out of the beans in the roaster. Okay, Use the air compressor, got most of the extra chaff out of there. Now we're gonna weigh the beans post-roast so we can compare the green weight with the roast weight and figure out our shrinkage. Our shrinkage will tell us how well the beans have developed. Kind of a bell curve there, but generally the more shrinkage you got, the more developed or better developed your beans will be. All right, got the beans inside. Gonna pour them in a little strainer, colander. Get the last bit of chaff out. Let a little bit of air flow through there. Let them cool a little bit longer. While that's happening, I'll crunch the numbers and see what our shrinkage is. Give you a quick percentage at 14.9%. All right, the next thing we need to do is determine the roast level of our beans. First thing I'm gonna do, well, here I have a roasting color card. I've got some Sweet Maria's. 2 on the left are medium, 3 in the middle are, sorry, the 2 on the left are light, the 3 in the middle are medium, and then dark. On the back it's got percentages and temperatures. Now it's very specific about it being a washed coffee after resting for about 3-4 hours. So you can see, I'm gonna lay those down there. I'm gonna grab 5 or 6 beans, try to get a good mix of color, throw them in my little hand grinder. That's the only thing I use this hand grinder for. It takes a million years to grind coffee. I like to grind over the sink because little pieces always pop out of the top and fly everywhere, and I don't like cleaning up the extra mess. Okay, pop the top off, shake the grounds onto the card. Ooh, looks delicioso. Okay, this is the difficult part. These cards aren't the best. The pros recommend a refractometer, but I need to hold it up, get a good light on it, I tamp it down, that helps mute some of the shadows. And what do we got here? City Plus, nailed it, solid medium. All right, keen. Set it back and forth, double check, huzzah. All right, these go in the compost bin. You don't want to brew freshly roasted coffee, it's going to taste weird. You got to give it a few days to rest. Right. Put that back together. Now I got to sort through these beans and look for something called Quakers. Quakers are weird little genetically strange beans that don't really taste like coffee beans. They're going to be a distinct, very light color. Now when you're dealing with a batch of coffee like this that has certain varietals within it, they're going to roast a little differently and give you some different colors among the beans. So sometimes it's kind of difficult. I always like to err on the side of caution, so I'll sort through and pick out anything that I think might be suspicious. All right, so now I'm gonna sort the beans. Just so you know, I did wash my hands thoroughly. Let's cycle through, see what I can find. That little guy I really liked. So, you know, you compare. Look at that. So that one's probably a Quaker. Keep sorting, keep sorting. I very much value attention to detail. I want to be sure that I'm handing out quality coffee. If those Quakers get in your beans and you end up grinding them and brewing together, apparently it can make your brew taste very, very sour. Alright, let's pop open the bag. I like to use a little utensil so I'm not shoving my hand all down in the bag. The utensil is also clean. Yep, alright. Dump the sifted beans back in my little bowl. It's easier to pour from this bowl into the bag. Alright, let's pour them in the bag. Here we go. Hopefully I won't spill any. I've got this down pretty well. Here we go. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And viola. Done. Even out, squeeze out some excess air. Next thing we gotta do is seal the bag. So I grab my little heat sealer. Plug this in. Grab the bag, come back over to my heat sealer. There's a little knob over here to adjust the amount of heat. It's just how much electricity it's gonna pour through the little metal wire. There's a little metal wire in the bottom portion right here. So you lay the bag there, press down. There's a red light on the other side that you can't see from this angle. When it clicks off, bag is done. Lift it up, and huzzah! Should feel warm to the touch. And there we go, a bag of Sprocket and Rotor coffee. Thanks everybody. Have a good day.